Welcome to this video. So in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at questions on the normal distribution. So with me is a tutorial sheet full of questions on the normal distribution. And then at the end, we are also going to see how we can find or solve questions on the T distribution. Okay. All right. So we have how many questions here? So question 1 all the way up to um this is question 12. Okay, so we're going to solve all these questions from question 1 all the way up to question 12. Okay, so let's start with question 1. So question 1, they're saying if Z follows a normal distribution, okay, with mean 0 and standard deviation 1, find the following probabilities. Okay, so these are called Z score probabilities. Okay, they're called Z score probabilities. Okay, so the way they are given here, they're already standardized. So we can just calculate them directly. Okay, but if you're given this in terms of X, for example, if I say X is less than, and then they say maybe 10, okay, then we would have to standardize this to take it into the normal distribution. Okay, so now Z is equals to the X value that you are given there, okay, minus the mean, okay, divided by the standard deviation. Okay, so where do you get the mean? Where do you get the standard deviation? You get them from the distribution that you've been given there. So if they say Z follows a normal distribution, and then they put 0, 1 here. Okay, so this 0 here is the mean. And then this one here is the variance, sigma squared. Okay, so to find the standard deviation, you need to take the square root of whatever is here. Okay, so this is how we can find the Z score in case we are given X values. Okay, so to standardize this would say X minus mu over sigma less than. This one we do the same. So we say 10 and then we subtract by the actual mean. So let's say the actual mean was 5 maybe. So we say 5 divided by, and then let's say the standard deviation maybe was 10. And then we divide by 10. So it means on this side, this here would just be equals to Z, right? So it will be probability that Z is less than, and then whatever you're going to have here. So this is 5 over 10, which will just be 0.5. So we'll be finding this probability from the Z score table. Okay, so there are no calculation involved. You just go to the table and get the probability. So it will be very easy for us to calculate these probabilities here. Okay, so now the Z score tables that we have, okay, have probabilities, okay, for values that are rounded off to 2 decimal places. So for example, if I have the probability that Z is less than, okay, and then I put 1.15. Okay, so on my Z score table, or most of the Z score tables that you're going to find, you're going to be finding a number that is rounded off to 2 decimal places. So you can see 1, 2. Okay, because this is what we can find on those Z score tables. So those Z score tables, there will be something like this. Okay, so there will be values here, and then there will also be values here. Okay, so the values that will be there will be the first 2 digits of these decimal numbers. So I can have, for example, 1.1 there. Okay, and then this 5 here, it will be in this row here. So you can have 0.05, something like that. So this 1.15, okay, on the Z table, it is out as a sum of the 1.5 and the 0.05. Okay, so if I add 1.10, okay, plus 0.05, so this is just going to give me 5, 1 point what, which is this. Okay, so to find the probability that Z is less than 1.15, would go where there's 1.1, okay, and then we go to the right, okay, and then we go where there's 0.05, we come down like this. So where these 2 lines are crossing, okay, the value that will be there is what we are going to be saying is our probability there. Okay, so let's try to do this simple example before we go to these ones that we've been given here. Okay, so if I go to my Z score table here, where's my Z score table? Okay, so if I go to my Z score table here, this is my Z score table, right? So for example, I want to find the probability that we said. Z is less than 1.15 like this. Okay, so we said these first two digits of this number, this one and this one, we're going to be finding them in this column here, the first column. So you can see my 1.1 is there. Okay, and then the 0.05. Okay, I'll find it in the first row here. So 0.05 will be there. Okay, so to find the probability that Z is less than 1.15, okay, I'll go to 1.1, go to the right, like the way I'm doing here. Okay, and then from 0.05, I'll come down like that. Okay, so you are seeing where they are crossing, it is here. So this would be the probability that Z is less than 1.15. So you just write 0.87493. Okay, some of you round this off to in most cases, I mean, we round this off to 4 decimal places. So it will just be like this. Okay, so that's how we are going to be finding the probabilities. Okay, so in this case, since we've been given numbers that have 3 decimal places, okay, we are going to be rounding them off to 2 decimal places. You can see here, I have 3 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 3 decimal places. But we do not have tables for 3 decimal places. Okay, so if you have 3 decimal places, then you would need to use interpolation to find the exact value. Okay, but in this video, we're not going to use interpolation. We're just going to be rounding them off to 2 decimal places, and then we get the probability from the what? From the Z-score table. Okay, so let's do that. So we start with the first one. So they're saying A, find the probability that Z is less than 2.34. Okay, so I've rounded off to 2 decimal places. You can see there. I'll ignore the 2. I'll just say this. Okay, so what is this? This is very simple. We just go to the table, look for where there's 2.3. Okay, so that will be 2.3. And then I also look where there's what? 0.04. This will make my 2.34. So in my column, I'm looking for this. Okay, in my row, I'm looking for this. And then I come down from the row, I go to the right from the column. Okay, so let's do that. So when we go here, that was, what was it now? 2.3 and then 4. So 2.3 would be somewhere here. Okay, so 2.3 is somewhere here. That is my 2.3. And then on the rows, I'm looking for 0.04. So this is 0.00, 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, okay? And then 0.04 is this guy here. So I'm coming down in this column like that. Okay, let me do it properly. So I'm coming down from this column here, like that. And then here from the 2.3, I'm going to the right like this. Okay, is this 0.04? I doubt. Okay, let me do it again. So we are saying here we have 2.3, right? That's my 2.3. And then here we are looking for 0.04. So which one is 0.04? Or maybe we can just go up and easily check. So the 0.04, it's this one here. Okay, so I'll write like a something so that we know this one here, the 0.04. Okay, so I can now go back. So this is my 0.04, it's following. So my 2.3 is there. Okay, and then my 0.04 is this guy. Okay, and then from here I go to the right like this. Okay, so you see that where we are meeting here is what? 0.99036. So you can round it off to 4 decimal places. We're just going to have 0.9904. So that will be the answer here, 0.9904. Okay, so for the first one here, it will be this guy here. So I can write it somewhere here. Okay, next we look at B. So B, they're saying find the probability that Z is greater than 2.342, which is the same number there, but now we have a greater than here. Okay, so first of all, we're going to round it off to 2 decimal places like this. So whenever you have a greater than here, you always have to change it into a less than, guys. Okay, when finding the Z-score probabilities, always change this guy here to always be a less than. So how do you change this to a less than? Use the complement rule. Okay, so this one here is the same as 1 minus the probability that Z now is less than the 2.34. So this will just be 1 minus this probability. We already found it was there. So 0.9904. And then we subtract. So when we subtract, that will be 1 minus 0.9904. So this gives me 0.0096. So this is the probability there, okay, on the second what? Question. Okay, we go to the third one. So the third one has a negative value. Okay, so there are tables with negative values. Okay, so probability that Z is greater than or less than, okay, I mean greater than or equal to minus 1.54. Remember, I'm rounding off two decimal places. So if I round off these two, it will still remain the same. So how am I going to handle this? Complement rule. So this one becomes 1 minus the probability that Z, okay, is less than 1. Is less than minus 1.54 by the complement rule. So this is now what we have. And then this one here is a negative value. So we have a table for negative values. Okay, so this will be 1 minus, okay, so the table for the negative values, we can go there. So we have minus 1.54. So meaning the minus 1.5, we're going to find it in the first column. And then this one here, 0.04, we're going to find it in the first row. So it's the same. We go to the right, we come down. Whatever will be there, that will be our answer. So let's go to the negative Z score table. Okay, so negative Z score table is on top of this one. Okay, so negative Z score table is here. So what do we have there? Okay, so I can mark first of all my 0.04 here on top. Okay, and then I can now start coming down. So there we are the minus 1.5. So it means on this line here, I'm looking for 1.5. So 1.5, it's here, minus 1.5. You've seen it. So it means here, I'm going to the right like this. And then here, this is my 0.04, I'm coming down. So the answer is this one. Okay, that's the answer there. So we're going to get it, and then we're going to subtract from 1. So that is 0, okay, 0.06178. So let's here and write it 0.06178. So we subtract now 1 minus that number. Okay, so 1 minus 0.06178. It gives me 0.938 82. Okay, so that will be the probability on C. Okay, let's look at D. So on D here, okay, to be very simple, to be the probability that Z is less than or equal to minus 2.34. Remember, I'm rounding off. Okay, so now here, I'm not going to use the Z-score table because I can see I have the answer for the positive value here. This is negative. So by symmetry, okay, symmetry of the normal distribution, if I have Z being less than or equal to this, okay, it's the same as probability that Z, okay, is greater than or equal to the positive number of this. So meaning that I'm going to have 2.34 like this. Okay, and then once I have this, I apply the complement rule. So it will just be 1 minus probability that Z is less than 2.34. So this will be equals to 1 minus this probability, we already found it. It is here. So it will just be 0.9904. So this will give us what? Okay. To give us the same answer that we got on where? Where was that? Is it B? Okay. Yeah, so it will give us the same answer on B, which will be 0.0096. Okay, so it doesn't matter here if there's less than or equal to it's just less than, it's the same thing. Okay, so let's look at F now. So F, we have, I mean E, not F, probability that Z is less than or equal to 0.9. So I'm rounding off this 5. 5 is equal to 5. So I add a 1 to the other number, so it will be 9 here. Okay, so this guy is the same as the probability that Z is actually less than 0.99. Okay, so it doesn't matter if there's equal to, it will just be the same. Okay, it will just be the same. So let's go to the table and find this probability. So this is a positive Z axis, Z score table, because this is a positive number here. Okay, so I just go to the Z score and get this number. So it means in the column, I'll get 0.9. And then in this row, I'll get 0.09 like this. Okay, so let's go there. So that was what? 0.99. Okay, 0.99. So this is the negative table. I go to the positive down here. Okay, so 0.9, where are you? 0.9, I'm there. Okay, and then 0.09, I'm there. Okay, so from here, I go to the right side like this. Okay, and then from there, I come down. So you see, that is my probability there. So that will be 0.83891. Okay, so 0.83891. So 0.83891. Okay, once you can round it off to 4 decimal places, it will be 0.8389. So that would be the answer there on E. Okay, and then let's solve something different, because here we just had uh, Z being less than or greater than one number. But here you can see it is between two numbers. Okay, and this one simply means what we can see on top. So let's solve it. So we start with F. So F, probability that minus 1.12, okay, is less than Z, which is less than 1.23. This one here, it's the same as probability that Z is less than, okay, the number that you can see at the end, which is 1.23, and then you say minus, okay, probability that Z is less than the number that you can see in front here. So it will be minus 1.12. Okay, so these ones are already rounded off to 2 decimal places, so there will be no problem there. So just go to the positive Z axis, get to this value, okay? Negative Z axis, Z score, I mean, not axis, you get this value. So this is 1.23. So we get it from the positive Z score table, right? So 1.2 in the first column, and then 0.03 in the first row. So we are saying that 1.2, right? This is 1.2. So 1.2 here. Hey, where's my pen? 1.2 there, okay? And then we have 0.03. So 0.03 is here. Hey, what's happening, guys? Oh, that is 0.02. So 0. Okay, 0.3, it's there. So I go to the right from here, and then I come down from there. Okay, so this is the value that I'm looking for. So that is what? 0.89065. That's what I have. Okay, so I can come here and write it here, 0.89065 minus, and then I get this from the negative Z score. Okay, I get that one from the negative Z score. So let's go and get that value for this on the negative Z score table. So the negative is on top here. So for the negative, we have what? We have minus 1.12. So it means the 1.1, the minus 1.1, okay, it will be here. And then here I'm looking at the 0.02. So I've already marked it in advance. Then I go down like this. So what's happening? So I'm looking for minus 1.1. So minus 1.1 is this guy. So we go there, and then we come down like that. So we're getting this value here. Okay, so that is 0.13 0.136. Okay, so I come here, I write 0.13136, and then I subtract these two. So it will be 0.89065 minus 0.13136. So subtract, we get 0.75929. Okay, so that's the probability that we get there. Okay, that's the probability that we get there. Can even round it off to 4 decimal places to be 0.7593. We're done. Okay, so meaning that even here, we are going to apply the same thing that we did here. But here we have both the positive Z scores. So we're just going to use one table for the positive values. Okay, so for that one, I'm sure I can try it out, but just round off this guy. So we're going to have probability that 1.22, okay, less than Z, which is less than 3.24. This one is the same as the probability that Z is less than 3.24 minus the probability that Z is less than 1.22. Okay, so you go on the table, you get this value, and then subtract. That will be the answer there. Okay, so this one, I'll leave it for you. I'll move on to this one and this one. Okay, because they have a modulus there. Okay, so if you have a modulus, what does it mean? So remember when you're doing first year, first semester. First semester, we say that, okay, if I have x modulus being less than, for example, 1, we said this one here is the same as minus 1, okay, less than x, which is less than 1. So whenever I have modulus less than something, we should always interpret it like this, okay? So it's the same here. So there I can see that I have z, okay, less than, modulus of z less than or equal to 2.323. Okay, so this one, we use the same logic here. So we get the negative of this, which is minus 2.323, less than or equal to z, less than or equal to the positive of this, 2.323. Okay, so this is how we are going to be interpreting whatever is in the modulus. We'll be interpreting it like this. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So let's solve that one now. Okay, let's solve that one. So we are going to say probability that the modulus of z, okay, is less than or equal to this number. I'll round it off to 2 decimal places. So it will be 2.32, like this. This here is the same as, okay, the probability that this z, okay, is between minus 2.32 and then z, okay, less than or equal to 2.32. So it's the same as this. So meaning that this one now, we handle it the way we are handling this one. So it will be the probability that z is less than the number that I can see there. So 2.32, okay? And then what? And then I say minus probability that z is less than, okay, minus 2.32. So we can go to the table and get this value and also get this value. Okay, but here I'll show you another property that you can use. Okay, so I'll say this is the same as, okay, I write this guy the way it is, and then I say minus, okay, this one here, since it's a negative, remember we said we can use symmetry. So by symmetry, this part here, it's the same as probability that z is greater than the positive of this, right? Okay, so this guy and this are the same by symmetry of the normal distribution. And then if I have a greater than, I can use the complement rule to write this as 1 minus the probability that z is less than 3.2. There should be 2 there. 2.32. Like this. So this one, and this one, they are all ways in which we can write one thing. Okay, so this guy here is the same as that one, so the same as this one. So here, okay, if I put, remember I have a minus outside this one, and then I put, this guy now has become 1 minus probability that z is less than 2.32. This will be, give me what? Minus 1 plus probability, okay, of Z being less than 2.32. So if you don't want to use the Z score table for negative values, you can do this. So it means here, this whole thing has just become this. So I'll just say -1, which is this one, and then plus probability that Z is less than 3. That should be 2. Okay, 2.32 like this. But we see that this guy and this guy are the same. So we are going to add them. So we're going to say we have 2, the probability of Z being less than 2.32, and then -1. Okay, so that we just go on the Z score table once. So we can just go and find this value here, and then we put it there. Okay, so let's do that. So this is what? 2.32. 2.32. So that is the positive Z score table. So I go to the positive Z score table. So 2.32. So it means here I have 0.2, and then here I have 2.2. 2.3, I mean. So here I have 2.3 there. Okay, because I have 2.3 and then 2. Okay, so from here I'll go to the right, from here like this, and then from there I'll go down. So you see where I'm ending up, it is that value there. Okay, so that would be 0.98983. So I come here and write it. So I can erase some of this on top. Okay, so it will be equals to, this one will be 2, and then this probability we found to 0.983 minus 1. Okay, so we can multiply there. So this number, you multiply it by 2, and then say minus 1. So it's giving me 0.97966. We can round it off to 4 decimal places to be 0.97 and then 97. So that will be the answer that I'm getting there. Okay, so it will be 0.9797. Okay. All right, so that's what I'm finding approximately. Okay, so I've taught you how to find this. So it means for this one, you can also try it on your own. Okay, so we're done with question 1. Okay, we're done with question 1. So if you'd like to access the full video where I'll be solving the rest of the questions, you are free to register with us. Okay, so this was just question 1 of this tutorial sheet 6 here. But there are 11 more questions on this normal distribution plus the 2 distributions. So you can see all these questions here. Okay, we are going to solve them, and then we're going to upload them on our website. Okay, so let me just show you the website. Okay, so I was saying we're going to solve all these questions, and the videos will be available on our website. So when you go on our website, you see something like this. Okay, so if you're second semester at Apex, okay, you're going to find the mathematics for second semester in this same folder for mathematics. Okay, so you can just go there, open the course. Okay, and then you're going to see that we have a folder here for probability and statistics. So here, that's where we upload all the tutorial sheets. So you can open that folder. Okay, you're going to find lessons, tutorials, handwritten notes, tutorial sheets, past papers. So we have some past papers here that we solved for quizzes, tests, and exam papers. And then here we have the tutorial sheets. So if you're interested in the tutorial sheets, you come here, you open this folder. Okay, once you open it, you're going to find the video solutions or written solutions. So you go to the video solutions because this is the video. Okay, and then you're going to find the different intakes. So there's the 2024 July intake. You can also use these videos to learn. They're just the same concepts, okay, but just different questions, but the same concept. You can use the videos for the January intake, okay. They are there for all the tutorial sheet that they had. And then for the 2025 July intake, which is now, you come to this folder, you open it. Okay, so when you open it, you're going to see that we have created a folder for all the tutorial sheets. Okay, so I can even create tutorial sheet 6 because those questions are from tutorial sheet 6. So from tutorial sheet 1 all the way up to tutorial sheet 6, I'll put tutorial sheet 6 here. Okay, the videos will be available. So you can just register on our website and then you'll be able to access them. Okay, so if you'd like to register with us, just go in the description of this video. You're going to find the registration video guide, okay, and also a link to our website and a link to our mobile app. So on our mobile app, you can actually download these videos. Okay, so for example, if I go there in tutorial sheet 4, you can see we have a lot of videos, right? We had question 1 all the way up to question 10. So you can download these videos on the mobile app when you install it. Okay, so just go on Play Store and then you search Discrete Learning Institute. Then once you install that app, you log in using the same details that you used on the website. Okay, so on the app, you can actually download these videos. Okay, and they will just be on your phone. You can watch it offline, anytime, anywhere, even in your blankets. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video that I'll create and post on YouTube.